The Beatles are often remembered as a band that could do no wrong, a creative machine where every idea turned to gold. But even inside the most successful band in music history, not every song was welcomed. There was one John Lennon song that the Beatles quietly rejected. Not because it was weak, but because it arrived at the wrong moment, and from the wrong place. That song was Cold Turkey. By 1969, the Beatles were already coming apart at the seams. Business disputes, creative clashes, and personal resentments were eroding the unity that once defined them. John Lennon, increasingly distant from the band, was undergoing a brutal heroin withdrawal. The pain was physical, psychological, and deeply personal. Out of that suffering, Lennon wrote Cold Turkey. It was not metaphorical, it was not poetic in the traditional sense, it was raw confession. The song described addiction and withdrawal with unsettling honesty, shaking hands, crawling pain, desperation, and fear. Lennon wanted the Beatles to record it as their next single. He believed it represented where he was emotionally and artistically. The rest of the band disagreed. Paul McCartney felt the song was too bleak, too graphic, and too far removed from what the Beatles represented to the public. George Harrison thought it lacked subtlety. Ringo Starr, caught between loyalties, stayed largely silent, but the real issue ran deeper. Cold Turkey forced the band into territory they weren't ready to enter, not musically but emotionally. It wasn't about love, rebellion, or imagination. It was about dependency, vulnerability, and collapse. Recording it would mean confronting Lennon's pain head-on and acknowledging how fractured the band had become. For the Beatles, that was a step too far. Instead, Lennon made a decision that would change everything. He recorded Cold Turkey as a solo artist with the newly formed Plastic Ono Band. Released in October 1969, the song sounded nothing like classic Beatles material. It was stripped down, aggressive, and intentionally uncomfortable. Lennon's screaming vocal performance shocked listeners and critics, but it was honest. The song reached the top 20 in both the UK and the US, proving that Lennon no longer needed the Beatles to be heard. More importantly, it marked a psychological break. This was not John Lennon the Beatle. This was John Lennon alone. In retrospect, Cold Turkey feels like a warning sign. It showed how far Lennon had drifted from the band's collective identity. While the Beatles were still trying to hold on to structure and legacy, Lennon was tearing everything open. The rejection of Cold Turkey wasn't just about a song, it was about incompatibility. The Beatles were no longer four men moving in the same direction. They were individuals with different thresholds for honesty, exposure, and risk. For Lennon, truth mattered more than comfort. For the band, survival still required restraint. Within a year, the Beatles would be over. Today, Cold Turkey stands as one of Lennon's most fearless recordings, a document of pain that the Beatles couldn't or wouldn't carry together. Sometimes the songs that are rejected tell us more than the ones that are embraced, because they reveal not just what a band wanted to be, but what it could no longer become.